up, guys? TraderJud here with week number 6, pair number 2 of the weekly charting series, where I go over 10 different pairs, looking at 3 different time frames for each pair. Pair number 2 this week is going to be USDJpy like normal. UJ on the weekly time frame, there is a Gartley pattern. There is also a crab. I believe it's either a crab pattern or a bat pattern. On second thought, I think it's a bat pattern that completes below where this Gartley pattern is. I have this Gartley pattern drawn and not the bat pattern because the Gartley completes first. Just something to be aware of, that there is a bat pattern that does complete at a lower level than where this Gartley pattern completes. Both of them are valid. It's something to keep in mind. So if we do see this Gartley complete, then I will throw up the bat pattern as well and put levels where the bat pattern completes. But for right now, just going to leave it with the Gartley pattern so that things don't get too confusing. But looking at last week's candlestick, I had a bearish candlestick last week. I was expecting things to go bearish for multiple reasons, but expecting bearish last week. Biggest reason why is we have this bearish candlestick right here is our controlling candle that broke down below this trend line. The week before that, we had very little bullish momentum. The week after that, bears took over, another bearish engulfing candle. The week after that, which would have been last week, or the week before last, excuse me, we had this bullish candle that tried to be engulfing but wasn't, and so that's a good indication that this week was going to be bearish. I do have this zone drawn. Let's see here. The zone is based off of this candlestick right here. I know that this is really zoomed out, and that's why I'm showing it to you. But this candlestick right here is representing that zone that I have drawn with previous market structure. So that zone is this zone right here, which we can see price retested and rejected last week, but or the week before last, excuse me, with this bullish candlestick. Let's go ahead and drop down the time frame. On the daily time frame, we do have a crab pattern that completes around the same area that the Gartley pattern on the weekly time frame completes. And looking at last week's candlesticks, we had this massive pin bar with bearish movement after that. So I have a couple different directions where price can go. I have this trend line drawn. We'd be looking for a break and a retest on that trend line, which I do expect at some point in time, which this might not happen until after these patterns complete, that we will see a retest of this trend line up here, which would make sense. That would be the retracement of the patterns completing, would be the retest of this trend line up here, because we have not seen a retest of this trend line, which would be the trend line that I have drawn on the weekly time frame. So I have not seen a retest of this trend line yet, and I do expect to see one at some point in time. But again, it might not be until after these patterns complete, which would make sense because of the retracement that usually happens after patterns complete. But anyways, we're looking for either a break and a retest and then a continuation upward if it decides to go bullish. Bearish, we're looking for a break and a retest of this zone that was drawn on the weekly time frame before continuing downward and completing these two patterns. Going to the 4-hour time frame, we have another crab pattern that completes before the crab pattern on the daily and before the Gartley on the weekly. So again, with this, we could see bullish momentum to at least retest this trend line before continuing down, or we could see just a continuation, a bearish continuation through the zone and then retesting. You'll notice that I did leave this zone the same size that it is on the weekly time frame. This zone right here is the exact same zone that's drawn right here. I could have made that smaller, but I decided not to because I liked the placement of it based off of the weekly time frame. That lets me know that anywhere in this zone we could see price reject and go the other direction. That's just something to be aware of. I do expect price to come down into this zone at some point in time this week, or we could just see more rejections. You'll notice we have a rejection right here and a rejection right here, and so that's just something to be aware of. But that's what I see with UJ this week, at least a retest of this zone. If we do see bullish momentum coming out of this zone and breaking this trend line up here, then you should be looking for buys at that point. However, UJ is in a pretty strong downtrend, as you can see. That's depicted well on the weekly time frame. specifically with this higher high right here, this higher low right here, and then a lower high, and now we're experiencing this lower low. So yeah, that's what we're looking at with UJ. That's what I expect to see with UJ, is some sort of bearish momentum, maybe a retest, if not a break of this zone, and then continuing down to at least complete the crab pattern that I've drawn on the 4-hour time frame, if not the crab pattern on the daily, or the crab pattern on the, or excuse me, the Gartley on the weekly. That's what we're looking at with UJ. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, give me a like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for all your support. Moving on to the next pair.